Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the live show with Musart. Today I have Kevin C. Dooley, who is the founder of Real World Recovery, who was an ex-criminal, ex-addict, and now he's helping others along their journey to come out of that system. Hey, thank you for coming today.
Welcome, yeah, man. It's good to be here. Brilliant. Thank you, Musart, for getting me on.
So, right, Real World Recovery. Tell me about it. So, what is it that made you to come with that name, and how you got about it?
It's from Real World, from the world. Real World Recovery is an organisation I set up where other people could come together and create interventions and events that would inform an understanding of addiction,
right,
and understanding of recovery from addiction.
Yes.
So like the Real World Recovery is from speaking engagements to developing programs to developing lectures,
right,
do speaking engagements, and also film events and creative arts events.
Okay.
Stuff like that. But under the umbrella of helping understand addiction. And the reason I set it up was so that there's a stigma to do with addiction in this country. So basically Real World Recovery, it's a pragmatic, hands-on approach to understanding addiction. That's why I say real world.
Right.
It's not some leafy sort of ACONS counselling sort of service, you know. It's nothing like that. It's a pragmatic approach to understanding addiction. The whole point of the organisation and everything I stand for is I hope to inform treatment of addicts and also inform policy and change the public perception from a negative one to a positive one.
So what brought you to that? Because, you know, you were a criminal yourself. I think you were in prison for 8 years.
Yeah.
And you was also a drug addict and stuff like that. Do you want to elaborate more on that? What got you into being, you know, got into drugs and the crime scene? Because, you know, I feel the system is always judging other people for its crime rather than understanding what got people to that position. Would you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, when I was being young and growing up where I was growing up, I didn't know this at the time, but looking back in my own recovery,
yes,
I wanted to understand. The question was, why was life so difficult for me? In recovery, why was life still difficult? Even when I was clean and sober, it was very difficult for me to engage with life, to engage with people. And I had to investigate that in my recovery. And I came to the conclusion that that people who become addicted to substances or alcoholism, it's like addicts are taking drugs because they're trying to manage deep emotional distress, emotional pain, mental distress.
So what was your emotional pain? Was your emotional pain being living in a poor family of 8, would you say? Or
no, I come from a family of 17.
17?
17, yeah.
Wow.
My mum and dad had 17 children, and there's 3 sets of twins.
Wow.
3 sets of twins. There's
and you were living together in this whole together in those?
No, not when I came along. Everyone's grown up and married.
Yes. Okay.
And then they're having their own children.
All right.
But like I said, no, there was a few. The house was always busy, even when I was about. And but imagine it was my mum and dad had from early doors, married young, and they had about 4 or 5 children before my mum's 21, you know. But like, it grew. And so when I came along, my brothers and sisters were that older, some of them were married, and I was brought up in the house.
So which number are you? Are you the youngest?
I'm the youngest, yeah.
Youngest out of all of them? You got a twin brother as well?
He's 7 minutes older than me,
okay,
Brian.
So you are the youngest then.
So like he's got a wealth of lifetime experience in front of me.
Right.
So I always ask him for advice.
Okay. He's 7 minutes ahead, so I'll ask you.
Yeah, I always ask his advice, you know.
Yeah.
But like I say, he's 7 minutes. There was Eileen and there was Terence and Teresa. Then there was Joe and Eileen. They were twins. There's a year between them. Yeah. Then many years later.
So as you were growing up, was it hard to have food on the table? Was it?
It was, I come from...
Because I remember you saying your father...
Yeah, my father was a docker, and he worked in the docks, and like, so
He passed away, I think, when you were
He
young.
passed away when I was 6 months old.
Yeah.
And so by the time me and Brian were born, my father passed away when we were 6 months old. And my mother found it hard to cope. And
With his death.
yeah. And so they thought it was better that she couldn't look after us at the moment.
So she was going through depression and stuff.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And really difficult time for her. And so me and Brian, but between when we were born to the age we were 7 or 5 or 6, 7, we had been separated from the family through a period when we were young, in a sort of home for a few months. Then we lived in Birmingham, we lived in Newcastle, we lived in Manchester, we lived in Alderley Edge, in different places, so many different places. And we were living with our mum, then we were living with our brother William, and eventually William became our legal guardian, and we used to visit our mum in England when we were growing up. Good relationship with my mum. She was a cheery woman, very talk to anyone, you know. She was well liked and very bright. And then my brother William, he worked 2 jobs, and bringing me and Brian up and looking after us.
Okay.
And that's when we started school back in Glasgow. And so a lot of the things that I found out in my recovery that may contribute to people becoming addicted or even becoming an intravenous drug user.
So how old were you when you first took your drugs, or when you got into the drugs? Yeah, how or you know?
I've been dabbling in pills and alcohol since I was 12. 12 years old. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you have access to that at such a young age? Were you using it at school?
There was well, you could ask someone to buy alcohol for you if they get the off license.
What about the money? Where did you get the money from?
Well, it was just your normal pocket money, you know. But like most people have got the pocket money, you know, and the parents they don't know what they're doing with it, you know. But like I said, we'd all chip in together, save up our money.
Did your mum ever notice that you were alcoholic, or?
My mum was in England at the time, and they were looking after.
Oh, your brother was with you.
My brothers with us, but like I said, we weren't. It was my introduction to drugs and alcohol at that age. I wasn't drinking every day or like that, but it started with a hodgepodge of pills and prescription pills.
Prescription pills.
Prescription pills. You've got Valium, diazepam.
Are these like antidepressant pills?
DF-118.
Are these like antidepressant pills or something?
Antidepressants? No, Valium, the downers. Yeah, downers. Okay. It's just to calm people down, isn't it?
Right.
So like there was a hodgepodge of pills going about, and you could buy them from older alcoholics who were prescribed them, and they would sell them. And in Glasgow, this grew, and you could buy pills for 50 pence, and
it's like sweets.
Like sweets, yeah. They were easily accessible, and you could buy them for 50 pence. And the media got involved on this, and they came up with the headline that 10 bob junkies, that's what they called them, which is a derogatory term for young people using drugs anyway, you know. But like so, that's what they called them in the front page. But like I seen that round about me, and it became a bit widespread in Glasgow. So lots of young people were using pills. They were cheap, they were accessible. I mean, if you're buying pills for 50 pence to take out your head, you can mix it with alcohol as well.
So who was giving you all these ideas? Would you say it was the company that you were with, or was it something that you were unhappy to go home to, or what was it that, you know?
No, it was, people, you're young and you're going to parties and there's alcohol and things like that. And maybe there's me and some of my friends are drinking alcohol. Well, what happened with my friends, they would vomit, they would sick, they would swear off it, they'd say, I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, when I took alcohol, everything fell into place. I felt together. I felt the most whole I've ever been.
Really?
Yeah, and when I started taking pills, I felt the same. And I think this is the difference between people who become addicted and people who don't. Like people who take drugs and alcohol recreationally, can walk away and come back and take them recreationally. And people sit back and relax with alcohol, and there's nothing wrong with that if they want to do that, if you can use it like that.
Yeah.
But like I think if you're someone like me, you take drugs and alcohol, and you're glad that you found them, because they do something for you that life wasn't doing, you know. And
What was life not doing? What would you say at that time?
I didn't feel the same as other people. I didn't have any sort of appreciation. I didn't feel gratitude. I never felt achievement, never felt success. I felt lonely, felt frightened, felt confused, didn't understand relationships, didn't understand people.
So wasn't your mum ever contributing to telling you about the ways of the world or speaking to you, or was she too busy trying to put food on the table when she was getting her things together?
Yeah, and what my mum had been through all those years, she'd brought a lot of children up, and so...
She was under stress.
Yeah, and because of the first... A lot of the rites of passages from 0 to 7-year-old I had missed out on. So I'm trying to catch up all the time. I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to understand. I don't know what it is to engage and be vulnerable and get embarrassed and have fun. So I'm defensive, and I'm taking offence quite easy, because by the time I'm 10-year-old, 12-year-old, I'm feeling low self-esteem.
Yeah.
I don't feel confident. I don't value myself.
Yeah.
I don't trust myself. I don't trust people. In fact, by the time I'm 12-year-old, the world's a dangerous place.
Yeah.
And relationships are difficult and dangerous and can't be negotiated, because I don't have the skills or the resources or the understanding or the empathy to engage with people. So I'm kind of retreating back from the world by this time. And I think it's because you said, because no secure base,
Yes.
no secure attachments.
Yeah.
The only role model I had was my brother William. He was the closest person to me. You know?
The older brother. So what about your other
Yeah.
siblings? Did they ever contribute, or were they just too busy in their own lives with their kids and families?
They're busy in their own life, and they're all great to me, and it was fun.
Did you get spoiled
being with
because
my
you
brothers and
were
sisters.
the youngest? Because
It's not that I get spoiled. It's got they had a lot of time in me, and it was great fun in the house. And my brothers and sisters were all really funny and a good crack, you know. And they don't take themselves seriously, right?
so why did you still
And
feel
Glasgow
lonely then
humour.
if you've got such?
It's because it was the emotional connection. I didn't get it.
So they would just come and do their thing and go.
I could be around my family, but there wasn't that prolonged, like a significant other or significant parent, caregiver. There wasn't a prolonged period of that. I was just around my family for short periods and go away. So, but even though I had fun with them, I never really felt safe in the world. I never felt secure. And I definitely didn't have emotional connection with people. And these are questions that I wanted to ask myself, because eventually when I got sober and I got clean, those feelings were still there. They were still there.
Yes, the emptiness.
I just took the emptiness was still there. I took and you can't hide what's not there.
Yeah.
After I found that out, the emptiness, you can't hide it. It's because I try to cover it up with drugs and alcohol and relationships and risky behaviour and violence and crime, and I tried to cover it up every way. I tried to say that I'm the same as you, but I wasn't. I didn't. So I spent a lot of my life in subcultures where I didn't
Trying to fit in,
where I didn't need to develop
Yeah.
an emotional connection or any emotional level. The thing was, it was difficult. It's like saying, I'd love to have a relationship with you,
Yeah.
but I can't
Yeah.
because it's too painful.
Yeah.
So I would just cut it and walk away.
Is it because were you scared of losing that person, or what was it? Or
Scared of loss, scared of falling short all the time, not trusting, being hurt, being abandoned.
So what about
stuff
school
like
then? What was your education? So obviously you failed through school.
Yeah.
You dropped out of school.
Hated school. Hated school. Like every child does, right?
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. But like I said, no, I didn't understand. Nowadays, I know there's a history in literature where there's the pinnacle education is is the teacher-pupil relationship, and goodbye, Mr. Chips. You know, there's things like that. There's these extraordinary great givers and teachers in our life, you know.
Yeah, that come along your way,
Somebody comes along, people bond with them.
Yes.
And
you didn't have that?
No, I never experienced that, and I really regret it. And I got angry when I found out that I'd been denied that. That never happened to me. I never bonded with any teacher. I seen it happen round about me, and I would love to have done that. I would love to have had a mentor and a teacher, and I never did at school. So like even from school, there was no good feeling or emotional connection. There was always their authority. I've got to shy away from them. I don't want to get involved with them.
Did they suspend you for doing it? Did you bully any other kids at school? Was you ever
bully?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I wouldn't say I was a bully, but like I did. I was fighting at school. No, I got bullied maybe in different areas of my life. But like I said, me and my twin brother Brian, we were together, so there wasn't many bullies after we dealt with them together. They came near us, you know, because people found out there was two of us, you know.
Yeah, so they wouldn't mess with you.
No, they wouldn't mess with me.
They wouldn't mess with you.
They'd be stupid to do that, but like so like there's two guys and they're not going to leave each other, so they've got each other's back. You know what I mean?
You're still quite close to your twin brother.
Yeah, like we've never, no matter what's happened in our life, there's nothing that's ever came between us.
Oh,
you know, and
nice. So he was like your other half in a sense, like you know, like
he was stronger. I always seen him stronger element, you know, and I'm more of a guide, and things like that, and more outspoken and stuff. Where I was quieter.
So coming back to the criminal side of things, so what brought you to going from one level of just buying alcohol from the shops and tablets to being a drug dealer and even being, I think, attempted murder, isn't it?
Yeah. What happened was when I look back on this in hindsight, and I've explored my past, and emotionally and cognitively, and where I was socially, and studied psychology to understand myself, studied counselling, therapy to understand myself, and I went through an intense therapeutic process in my recovery. When I was young, there was a religious divide in Glasgow, Catholics and Protestants. They absolutely hated each other. They just had no time for each other. But when I was young, there was
that's quite sad when it comes to religions, because it's like you know like Christianity. We even have that in Islam. Actually, we have sects as well, lots of different sects, and it's like they won't talk to each other, and it's really ridiculous because you're praying to the same God, you're doing the same things. It's just a few a little bit of beliefs here because of your scholars, but the divide is just weird, isn't it? It doesn't make sense to me.
It confused me.
Yeah,
I was confused as I was.
Jesus? Like, come on.
Yeah.
We both believe in Jesus. Let's be friends. No.
I know. To somebody, Jesus wears a Celtic scarf.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
To other people, he's got a Rangers scarf.
So, what did the divide do to you? So, was you growing up Catholic? You were growing up Catholic.
Catholic, yes. And what with connotations with Catholic is very similar to what's happening in Muslims now.
Yes, yeah.
When I was young, it wasn't Muslims; it was Catholics that were violent. Yeah. Now it's Muslims. Yeah. The media's the impression that people have of Muslims is always connected to violence.
Yeah,
when I was young, the connection to Catholics was the mafia films were out. It was Catholic. There was a war in Ireland and troubles in Ireland, and when I was working in London, a young man, I was pulled up with special branch, you know, because of my name.
Okay.
My name's Kevin Cornelius Dooley, and that's an Irish Catholic name, you know.
Right.
And so I was stopped in the workplace and when I worked in the exhibition centre, simply because of my name. And so, like I said, and it's similar to what's happening to Muslims now, simply because of their name.
And if you've got a beard, and they'll just stop you, and it's an innocent person completely. And you know, whereas Islam and Christianity don't teach, they don't, you know, they completely condemn violence. To be honest, they're not with it. So,
I know.
Yeah. So then,
so like I said, with me was. So I seen these factions we talk about, and where I come from, it was Protestants and Catholics. Didn't get it. I don't know why they hate each other. And then what happens in football is they hate each other as well. It's religious is now in football, and I seen this as well. So I didn't see the sport. I seen the hatred, and I didn't want nothing to do with that either. So I didn't understand it. And my sister had married outside the faith, Catholic faith, and he's a great guy, and I love him, and I love the children, and so. But I've seen a lot of like, divide and hating. It's as if you're supposed to hate these people, Kevin.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and I couldn't,
Yeah.
so I didn't go down that road, and that's why I've never been to a football match in my life.
Okay.
I've never seen a football match. A lot of people think I'm Scottish, I'm Glasgow, or football. I've never even been to a football match. I don't even know anything about football, really. I can't even name a player, you know.
Okay.
But like, so I kept away from all that, and because I couldn't fit in with normal society, maybe because I never became a football thug, I gravitated towards crime, because that was it would have either been some sort of sport or crime for me. But like so, and that's where I was. I didn't understand myself. It was difficult being me and understanding and emotionally connecting with people, and a subculture and the bigger society looked daunting. So I didn't fit in, so subculture looked more somewhere I could hide, you know.
So what was the first crime that you committed then?
Theft.
Theft.
Yeah, acts of dishonesty, theft, and
where did you steal from the shops?
Shoplifting, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and then you weren't charged yet, or were you?
No, eventually got charged. Then I got involved in violence, and I was charged with sort of actual bodily harm and things like that. But like so, you learn to fight in that world quite quickly. You know, you learn to protect yourself and defend, and like so, you've got eyes on the back of your head. You know?
Yes.
You really have got eyes in the back of your head, and.
But isn't it all risky? Aren't you on a risk the whole time? Like, oh my god, the police are going to catch me, or, you know.
Yeah, you could get murdered. But like so. Yeah, it is. It's
so what led you to prison then? In the end, what was it?
Because they say you go up the ladder of crime. You know, you just become more enmeshed and entrenched in an illegal subculture, a criminal subculture. That becomes your world, and you don't know anything outside it. So eventually, you wake up one day, and you don't know anyone in normal society, and you don't speak to anyone in normal society. And nobody knows what you're doing, and nothing you do is legal, and all the money you earn is illegal. You've got nothing to do with the government. You've got nothing to do with your tax. You've got nothing to do with your community.
Yeah.
You're living in a dark underworld where no one knows you're there except other people in that world. And
is that where you started drug dealing as well? And taking
that's where you're doing drug dealing and all that, yeah. So like
So you would shoplift and sell, or what would you do?
No, I eventually moved on and just became a drug dealer, and
were you taking drugs yourself? Were you addicted yourself?
Different things, yeah. Took different pills, taking ecstasy, speed, and cocaine, and
wasn't it very expensive
alcohol.
Living that life though?
No, because money's coming in all the time, innit, and going back out and coming in and going back out. So there's money going through your hand a lot, and
did your mum notice?
So you don't save up.
Didn't your parents?
Well, you're running about on your own. You're not. I wasn't hanging out with my family. I wasn't hanging out with
Didn't your mother ever worry where you were, your twin brother even?
People worried. Well, I worried people sick, and I drove them demented because they loved me very much, and they were worried about my lifestyle. But like so, selfish and self-centered, and looking after myself. Yeah.
What about your twin brother?
He was involved as well, and so both of us. But it's not as if Brian went that way and that way.
Yeah.
But we so. When we were young, we contributed to some positive things we done when we were young, and but like and we done some good stuff. But eventually we became enmeshed in the criminal underworld, and from there, crimes are committed, and it can be a violent place. And I went to prison for attempted murder and firearms. Yeah.
You went as far as firearms?
Being in possession of a gun, yeah.
Okay.
A firearm. And I got about.
Were you dealing them, or were you just?
No, just possession of, yeah.
Right.
So I went to prison for about 8 years, yeah. Something like that.
So who
when I was 26. I was 26 when I got sentenced.
So at this point, didn't you feel this is, now I've got, because obviously you've gone to the worst of the worst now, because you've You've ended up in prison now. You've been caught. Attempted murder is a very big criminal offence. Yeah, yeah, it's a big criminal offence, and it's been charged. And you're in front of the court, and you know you're being sentenced for 8 years. What was going through your mind at that time? How old were you?
26.
26.
Yeah, and I was 26. What went through my head? Do you know what went through my head when I got sentenced to 8 years? Where my next drug would come from.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Were
what
you
went
so
through
addicted?
my head. Yeah, it wasn't how am I going to get out my head. I didn't go, I'm not going to see my family again. I won't see my children.
I'm not going to have drugs again.
I won't see my mum. Everyone's worried about us. There was none of that. It was really selfish, self-centred. I can't express this. I'm really focused on me. I wasn't over-focused on me, concentrating on me far, far too much to have empathy for anyone else. And all I'm interested was, if I'm going to prison, how am I going to get out my head? That's all I was thinking. So I went to prison, and during my prison term, see what happens is a lot of people go to prison and they haven't. It's a non-violent charge, and they haven't been in trouble, and they're not criminals.
Yeah.
And they got caught up in something they really shouldn't have got caught up on, or they were too rash, or they get involved in deception, or a driving offence, or maybe they did a little punch up in the pub. But they'll go to prison, and they're decent, mostly decent people, and they'll come out, but me and people like me, we went to prison. We didn't stop being criminals. So I was an active criminal in prison.
In prison?
So I was still selling drugs. I was still
How are you doing
getting
all
up to
this?
no good, smuggled in and things like that.
Wow.
So so that's why so I didn't stop. I still hated the system. I still didn't want nothing to do with the system. I was still in a subculture now, prison.
Did your family come and visit you?
Yeah, they were very supportive. My mum, William.
Was she not really upset
children.
with your mum?
Everyone's upset. I broke their heart. They're all cut up and broke up, and you know what I mean. And that's where you go. I mean, like my mum's going away to Australia for 6 months, and I'm in trouble in prison, and so like she knows it's an important prison visit. My mother wants to see me. She wants to hug her son, and I've been in trouble, and so I'm on a close visit. So my mum won't see me for 6 months. She's in Australia, but she comes up and I've got a bit of glass, but I can't touch her, you know.
Yeah.
So this is the sort of things I've done. It's the same as my children. They were just sitting behind glass, you know.
So tell me a bit about the life in prison, because we always heard people go to prison. Is it scary, as they say? Is it a scary
prison?
place? Yeah.
Yeah, prisons are.
What kind of room did you have? You know, did you have a friend that you were sharing? Did you make any friends? Or obviously you probably did.
Made a lot of enemies. No,
you make enemies more than friends.
Yeah.
So,
both staff and prisoners, you know. But like, prison is. Once I was in prison, you people say to me, "Did I miss out on life?" You know. When I look back, I didn't miss out on life. That was my life.
Okay.
That's what happened to me, you know. It's like so when I was in prison, that became my world. I seemed to forget and can disconnect. I wouldn't have photographs of my family on the wall and things like that. I didn't want anything that would show any weakness in me. So
you never showed your vulnerability to them?
No vulnerability. So I had to.
Did you ever sit down and cry sometimes? Or?
No, never.
Never?
Never in prison, no.
So were you like a don in prison, then everybody was scared of you?
No, I made sure that people were worried about me. Yeah, I don't want people thinking that you can be a take on, you know, like stuff like that. Even though I was in trouble and there was violence in prison. But like the whole point is people know that you can handle yourself. People know that you won't take certain behaviours, you know, accept different actions. So people really, they know who you are, and if you don't, you make sure they know really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what I done. Wherever I would go, I would establish myself.
Did you ever get bullied in prison?
No.
No?
Never, no.
Did you bully anyone?
No, I didn't have to, but like...
They were scared of you anyway.
Well, there was me and Brian were in prison together, and
Oh, your brother was in prison?
yeah, me and Brian were in prison together. So like,
So you're like the twin brothers?
yeah. So people, we
Nobody
were,
would mess with you?
well, we were already known anyway when we went to prison. There was
Right.
bank robbers and people and drug dealers and criminals and gangsters.
Did you feel a belonging in there because you're in a society?
You knew them. It was a society where you were known in.
Yeah,
and
so
it was like,
crime is a normal thing. So you're in a society where it's the norm, and you're like, yeah, okay. No
yeah,
problem.
you've got bank robbers who are sending you down boxes of tobacco and chocolate and sweets and Marvel and tomato sauce and someone else is some fraudster is selling you down.
How is this all possible with the police?
Because they knew you. Well, they were just.
Then the police how can you pass through all this tight security? Like
no, it's not security. It's what they've bought from the canteen. They all put it in together, from the prison canteen. They're allowed to buy food, but like I said, when me and Brian came in the wing, there was a lot of people who made sure we were okay for things, Wow. That include drugs as well and anything else, So.
But that wasn't really reforming you then, was it? It was making you
Nothing
worse.
reformed me in prison.
Because it's just making you worse. Because if what's available outside is available inside prison, you're like, okay, I might as well be in prison. I've got a roof over my head.
I think with me, what happened was...
I've got food to, and I've got friends to talk to. Hey, I'm just living the life. I've got no bills to pay.
I know, but I think what happened with me was you've got to be formed before you can be reformed, right? And I don't think I was ever formed.
Oh, see.
So I didn't get the idea. Reform. No, I don't know. I've never been formed, So there was no reforming, there was no rehabilitation and stuff like that. I just felt part. I didn't feel part of the system. I didn't engage, and I couldn't because I was a high security prisoner as well. And I was.
So can I ask you another question? Right. So tell me your time. What was your routine of being in prison? What is your routine when you are in prison? Did they make you wake up early? What time is lunch? What's the food like?
Rubbish. The food, yeah.
So what is the daily routine of a prisoner of an attempted murder?
I was in different prisons. I was a long-term prisoner, so you go to different prisons, and it's mostly
every prison
it's
different from each other.
It's very similar. It's up early, doors open.
What time do you have to wake up?
7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, something like that.
Have breakfast.
If you've got a job, you can go to you go down and queue for your breakfast. But nowadays you get it in your cell. You get it the night before.
Okay.
And it's a cold breakfast, a continental breakfast.
Right.
Used to have bacon and eggs and things like that.
Okay.
Or bacon, bit of egg and something, bread.
So you're saying food is rubbish when you're getting nice hot food in the morning?
Used to get nice hot food in the morning, but like I say, you don't get enough of it, and you're hungry all the time in prison.
Really?
Yeah, you're always
So
always
do you have
hungry.
like a certain set of time? If you don't eat within half an hour, 20 minutes, that's it?
You eat your breakfast in the morning, you get your lunch, then you get your dinner at night, and...
So what are you doing between those hours of those activities?
You go to work if you want. There's got the work prison industries. You can go
you work?
You can go and work, yeah. And for very, very low income, you get about £2.50 a week or something. £5 a week or something, yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think.
What kind of work was it?
Sewing machines, fixing prison officers'
You
trousers.
have to go to work if you don't want to?
No, you can go to education.
You could even educate yourself?
Yeah, you can. There's education, and which is good. I was always, if I was working, I was in trouble, and I was always in solitary confinement, or I wasn't in the mainstream for very long because I was always in trouble, and I would end up being charged again, and I would have days days would be added to my sentence, and I would end
because of the crime you were committing in the prison.
Yeah, and
was you beating up people?
Yeah, but it would be
using
violence, fights, or they called it orchestrating subversive activities within the prison, and I would be charged with that, and me and my twin brother. Again, subversive activities is involved in gambling, involved in selling illicit goods, tobacco and things like that, or drugs, So we were still active criminals, even though we were there. But a lot of the time, in fighting prison staff as well, and I would end in solitary confinement. In solitary confinement.
So what about bathing and stuff like that? Do you have
showers and
you have en suites?
Shared showers? Yeah.
You have en suites or shared?
No, en suite, no showers. You're lucky to have a sink in your cell.
Really?
Yeah. Oh. No, you've got a sink and a toilet in your cell, but but showers and all that are all shared. It's well, men, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you came out finally after 8 years, is that when you took your stand and said, "I'm not doing this anymore"?
Well, no, because in there I had
Because you obviously said you weren't reformed in prison, so I'm just trying to
no,
find out when did the
no.
reformations
What
happen?
happened was, even in prison, people are making hooch. Yeah, alcohol. They're
Right.
making hooch, brewing
Okay.
hooch, alcohol in prison.
Wow.
You're going, how can they do that? You know.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm trying to think.
that's what happens. You know. I walk into prison cells and I see people taking acid. You know, and do you know what I mean?
Taking acid.
Acid and drugs and snorting powders and drinking. So there's a
So they're
lot of.
living the life of having no
It's not.
stress.
It's not. It's not. It's they're very stressed. You know. What I mean? But like there's a lot of stress. But like it's very,
Because what I mean is, but there's no
if it's
stress.
difficult to stop, it's
No,
difficult to
because
stop.
what I'm trying to say is that is the worst that anybody can go to. Do you get my point? Like
Yeah.
after, well, obviously that's you be in prison. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the word in life. That's what we've been brought up to believe,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
Yeah, the worst place ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the worst place ever. And
It
if you're getting
is.
what you want there,
Well, the thing is as
drugs,
well.
alcohol,
That's right. But the people who are there are the ones that were.
eggs and bacon.
Yeah. You know, the ones that are
Right.
there are the ones that were taking drugs and alcohol to engage with life anyway. So when they're in there, so a lot of the prisoners that are on drugs and that, the people who are suffering from trauma and depression and anxiety and a bunch of other stuff from childhood baggage, who have went down the same road I've went down,
Yeah.
and now they're in the same place. And when I'm with them and they're with me, we're the only people we know. We're the only connection we have. So that's the way I've seen it. And there's a lot of violence as well. And people die in prison as well.
Oh, yeah.
And and when I'm in solitary confinement, I've been naked and bloodied and bruised. And I'm up against 6 prison officers. And they've got shields and they've got crash helmets and they've
They'll
got
beat you up.
protective clothing. Yeah. And I'm naked. So
Is that how they punish you?
yeah, that would happen. Indiscriminate violence and in your cell, and
You can't do anything about it.
well, you can fight back, and that's what I did. But like, so if you're naked and you're in a cell, it can be a bit
Wow.
unnerving when you've got 6 stormtroopers coming at you.
So why were they punishing you? Was that their way of punishing?
Yeah, it's all that because I'd been violent against one of them. It's comeback, innit?
So how did you take that? Well, that must have been battering to
It was. I've happened a few
battering
times.
to your mindset as well, and
Yeah, it's and the energy of that was I felt alive, even though I was
the
in pain.
adrenaline rush.
Adrenaline rush, you've got it. So what happened near the end of my prison sentence, even though a bunch of that stuff was happening, I started being accepted by a kind social worker called Maureen. She used to give me her husband's books, and I started to read poetry and all the latest literature and the classics, Thomas Hardy and stuff like that, Dante. My brother William handed me in books and stuff like that. So I started reading them, and then I was allowed to go to education because my security status had come down, and I went to education and I wrote, I learned writing poetry. I won a poetry competition, the Kessler Award.
Well done.
Yeah. I ran a short story. I got a short story. I got an award for that. I got a short story published. So
While you were in prison?
I started getting into creative arts, and I started. And my brother Brian, he's an artist now. But
Yeah.
like I said, when he was in prison, he learned guitar, and now he writes songs, and he's a songwriter, and he's an artist. And he said his word exhibited in the Kessler collection in the Royal Festival Hall. So my brother Brian's been down that road. I'm not down the art road, but I was involved in art when I was in prison, and that was when I started feeling a connection with
yourself.
with myself and discovering myself, and that was good, and I enjoyed that, and I had some of my artwork shown in Durham Cathedral, in Durham Prison, and while I was in Durham Prison, what happened was my 2 brothers came up to see me. And they told me that my son had died, and my son was 16 years old, Kevin. And,
How did he die?
And he died an accidental drug overdose.
What kind of drug was that?
It was a methadone and Valium, which he shouldn't have took. And he was out with some friends, and they took that. and he passed away.
While you were in prison?
Yeah, well, I had 3 months to do. I had about 3 or 4 months to go.
Left?
Yeah.
Were you able to attend his funeral?
No, what happened was, this is another reason why when I left prison I did hate the system even more, because there was no compassionate parole. They didn't open the gates and let me out.
So you didn't get to attend his funeral?
I got to attend his funeral, but I had 4 prison officers with me. I was double cuffed, and I wasn't allowed to touch his coffin and stuff like that.
So you couldn't say goodbye?
No, really. I was held at the back of the cathedral and stuff like that. So
that way, that's like showing a whole embarrassment to the community.
It's inhuman as well, and
yeah,
no compassion whatsoever for.
Did you get to go to the burial as well? Did they let you walk to that or no?
No, I didn't walk there. I got put in a police van and took there while my family and everyone
Did you ever
else
break down at that point?
No, when my brothers told me that my brother Michael and William came and visited me, and they told me that there was no priest there was no support. So before I went over to see my brother, there was the Imam, the Muslim priest. He came and seen me.
Oh.
So he was beautiful, and he was brilliant, and he was great and very supportive. And he came with me, and he was sitting with me when I received that information. So so that's another thing. These divides in religions really bug me, because
your own religion, priest didn't come.
Nothing. No, well, it's that as well, and it's that the Imam was enough.
The Imam.
Yeah, it was enough. Oh. It's like for me, like I felt that, and so there is no divide by me and
him.
It's there's not. There was there, and even today, I don't. I've never met a Muslim who isn't a good person in my whole life, and that's period. So I don't get it, and I don't get it at all. And what happened? That support I received when I was there, when I went back, was enough to carry me back to the wing. And when prison officers and other prisoners said, "Are you okay?" I would just say, "Yeah, I'm okay." Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't cry?
No, there was nothing. Just boom.
Was you in shock? Was your body in shock completely?
I don't even know if it was in shock, but there was. I knew that I couldn't feel anything. That I knew that I mustn't feel anything. Not in this situation.
So you had forced your feelings to be held back?
Yeah, smuggled down, yeah. And for years it's like holding a ball underwater. Yeah.
Wow.
So I couldn't grieve. I didn't grieve, for many years. And when I left prison, I was angry and I was confused, and I had nothing to give anyone except hatred and
you went back into
division.
The world of crime?
Back into crime, back into drugs, and even worse. And I became addicted to heroin and crack cocaine. So
what changed?
Later on, I was me and my twin brother ended up in the criminal underworld in London, and then we ended up in another subculture, homelessness. Experienced that in London, increasing drug use and crime, offending, and eventually near the end of that I was arrested for a charge I didn't commit, a robbery charge, arguing in Covent Garden toilet with a drug addict, another drug addict, right, who told the police that I robbed him,
Right.
He owed me £10 or something, something, arguing over something crazy. So twos are punching lumps out of each other in this toilet, and we were arrested, and I got charged with robbery and taken to prison, and so did my twin brother Brian. So me and Brian are now in Brixton prison, going like, why are we here? We've never done anything. And we think that you hear every prisoner saying that, it wasn't me. But like, it certainly wasn't us. And what
this
happened,
time it wasn't
this time it wasn't us. And the charges were dropped, and we weren't released. So we were held illegally for 11 days over Christmas period. And while we were held falsely imprisoned and held illegally in a British prison, my mother died, and my mother passed away of cancer.
I see.
My mother's a beautiful soul. She's a really deep, enriching, vibrant,
So you missed your mother's.
woman.
You missed your mother's.
My mum, she's
You missed her funeral again.
Yeah. So what happened was, we said goodbye to her mother on a phone, a prison, 3 days before she passed away, while the telly was blaring and people are arguing over the snooker table.
Right.
A lot of swearing and all that in the background, you know. So that was what the prison gave us, you know, a phone call and in a public area in prison. And what happened was the governor said that he doesn't have the finances or the security.
For you to go and attend the funeral.
Yeah. Which it was difficult to kind of accept that as well. So my mum passed away just over Christmas period, 30th of December, I think. And me and Brian were released. We went to court on the 7th of January. We'd now been held 11 days. We shouldn't even been in prison, and yet we were denied to go to. Because of that, we were still denied to go attend our mother's funeral. When we went to prison, the judge was astonished, and he didn't know why we're there. And he says, "You should have been released 11 days ago." Then a lawyer stood up and said that
you missed your
the mother had passed away in that time, and the judge wasn't too happy about it. He was astonished, and we were released that day with no apology, no recompense, and I left that prison feeling like a low-life junkie with no recourse for compensation or anything. And in my recovery, I pursued that, and I never got anywhere because they said that the person who messed up the prosecutor's office had went to another job and things. So I spent 3 years chasing that up and got nothing, got nowhere.
So is that when you decided, I'm going to leave the...
When we came out of prison at that time, that's when my family came back into my life and showed a bit of support, which it was always there. I couldn't see it. And we got funding and we got into rehab. Yeah, so my brother Brian had went into rehab and I followed him. So he sort of led me into recovery as such, yeah. So that was good. And I went to rehab and I spent 6 months in intense therapy. And I haven't, since the 12th of February 2003, I've never used a mood-altering drug or chemical or alcohol.
So you're completely clean?
Yeah, and I gave up smoking 10 years ago.
Well done.
Just to rub it in.
Okay, just okay. So when did you create the real word recovery?
4 years ago. What I've done in my recovery was I've dedicated my life to helping people understand addiction and understand the best way to recover from it. And
I remember you saying that you made a prayer.
Yeah,
and then since then things started.
That's right. Well, I said, do you know how like we call out and to a power greater than ourselves or a higher power or God and I said a sort of prayer like so, if you can, anyone listening, you know, can get me clean and sober, I'll dedicate my life. I'll help other people know that change is possible. And since then, I've been on TV. I've been on international TV. I've been on international media, international radio. I attend speaking engagements in universities all over Britain. I've addressed the British Society of Criminology.
And you write articles as well for magazines?
Yeah. I've been addressed to Cambridge Union, and I write articles, and I've been on radio, France, Spanish radio, European radio, BBC World Service, Channel 5 News, and a bunch of stuff. And so I've reached audiences all around the world. I've been on Russia Today, RT UK.
And you're on the live show with Musart.
I'm on, I'm here. You know what I mean? Which is a really privilege to be, I might add. It's a great platform.
I think today everybody's known the deeper side of Kevin Dooley that they don't really know of,
So I dedicate my life to that, and my organisation, what I do now is I develop programmes and I try and link trauma and prolonged stress with later on in childhood with later adult bad health outcomes, and that includes addiction. And
so with your foundation that you've made. So people come to you, or how are you helping people?
What I do is anybody can get me on the web. It's Real World Recovery
So
or
you was quite
Kevin
busy
C.
then.
Dooley. I've got loads of where you can contact me online. You'll get my website and things like that. My whole point of organising this sort of organisation is to promote an understanding of addiction and
And the
recovery
mind
from
of a
it.
criminal.
Yeah, and understanding where understanding offending, and the type of clients that drug and alcohol services and the criminal justice system deals with are people with mental health issues, with periods of homelessness. They may be violent. A lot of the time they're not. They've got personal problems. They've got emotional problems. They've got it's hard for them to communicate their ideas. And it's understanding that who this person is, who is this person, who's your client, who's got problems of addiction, who may be homeless, who may have periods of incarceration and offending. Who are they? And I've found that a lot of the time we need to understand trauma-informed care. We need to understand that a lot of these people I've just discussed have traumatised brains. There's prolonged stress. We need to understand that. We need to connect more with them. It's like to show addicts and offenders a way out. We have to find a way in.
Yes. But they always say that nobody is bad. It's just their habits become bad. So nobody is really bad. And when you take the habits away from the person is no longer bad. So I think it's just that label that we have given to society to criminals. Oh, that's a bad person. Don't go near
That's
him.
right.
But we don't understand exactly what brought him to that level.
That's what my
And I think it's that awareness created. And I think once that awareness is created, crime would go down.
That's right.
Massively.
Yeah. It's like addiction. People say that drug addicts and people who are addicted. Yeah, they're not. They're people who are suffering from emotional distress, deep emotional distress, and so they're not taking drugs to get high.
Yeah.
People who are addicted are taking drugs for relief from their symptoms. So like I said, we've got to understand that as well, and we need trauma-informed care has to be an enhanced training. Every drug worker in the UK, in fact, a drug worker shouldn't go near a person who's addicted unless they've had trauma-informed care.
Yeah,
because it could be damaging them.
Yeah, they know what. Yeah, for example, like when we had Mark as well, I think he touched on a very important topic. He was just saying when people he was able to speak to people better with people who are drug addicts and stuff than people who weren't, because they're like, yeah, he knows what we're going through.
Yeah.
And rather than, because I think people who aren't going through drugs, who haven't been through it, and they're obviously trained to do this, but they will probably be judgmental and say,
That's right.
you shouldn't be doing this and stuff like that. But they wouldn't understand the why. The main thing is taking the why out, and that's where you'll find the solution.
It's like you've got to ask yourself, are you actually thinking, or are you just rearranging your prejudices and your biases?
Exactly.
What is it we're doing here? And it can keep people back. So like I think the obstacle is they're seen as the other, as them.
Yeah.
And I think there is biases, there is prejudice, there's lack of understanding.
Yeah.
And there is the system at the moment, the drug and treatment system at the moment in the criminal justice system and in Britain is punitive, and it's not supportive. And so I want to highlight that. I want to be. We should support, not punish.
Yes.
That's what needs to be done. We need to understand addiction. We need to redefine addiction and understand the complex trauma, because we can't make changes if the interventions aren't been correctly implemented and they're suitable and appropriate.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things happening in drug treatment now what's not appropriate. It's not suitable.
I think another taboo is when someone has been in the criminal world, for example, people would say, "Don't go near him. He's been a criminal."
Yeah.
That is the sentence.
Stigma, isn't it?
Stigma, and then it's become, and then that person, although is trying so hard to change, doesn't change because of those comments or the way people view him, and then they're gonna go even a worse position and say, you know what, nobody likes me anyway. So I think it's just having that change of society, and that if we are a bit more open and a bit more, a bit more caring and loving towards these people and supportive and say, look, it's okay, we understand, even if you don't. And just having that level of support can make massive changes in the world.
It's called it's called
Empathy.
compassion, empathy, and compassion.
Yes.
And one of the teachings that the Buddhists they talk about that people will only allow themselves to see the truth only in the face of compassion.
Yeah.
Will people allow themselves to see the truth?
Yeah.
And that's it. And so we need a new understanding, a new definition of addiction and recovery from it, a new understanding of the clients we're dealing with, and we need it's about courage and compassion and connection.
Yeah.
And people say to me, how do we stop people becoming addicted? And as you said it a minute ago, we treat each other better.
Yeah.
We care more. We care more,
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it's been wonderful having you, and I think we could talk forever. But one thing I would like to ask you is, what advice would you give to the viewers that they could start applying today that you've used on the self-development side of things, and that they can start using from today and change their lives? So if you want to look at them, I'll let them know.
Yeah. No matter where you are in your recovery, you may be suffering from mental health issues or bad relationships, or you feel low self-esteem, you feel less than, and you don't feel you really can connect with people. And it could be drugs, or it could be alcohol, or whatever you're struggling with. You need to know that your head won't tell you this, but you're worth your weight in gold. You really are worth your weight in gold. And all you have to do is to move that little bit forward, try and feel the strength within you. Feel the heart you've been given. You're worth your weight in gold. You've been given a heart. You can feel it beating. Boom, 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 boom. Just pause and listen to that heart. That's how precious you are. That's what you've been given. Don't ever underestimate yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Know that you can face the world. You can ask for help. You're not less than. Just feel that heart. That's what you've been given. And feel that strength inside you. Source that comfort you can feel inside. Source the strength that's inside you with that heartbeat. And move forward a little bit and ask for help. Ask for help and get yourself around people who appreciate you, who are grateful for you, and they want to help you, they want to support you. That's the first step to moving forward. It's about knowing that you're worth your weight in gold, and that you're really worth getting help and get there. If you need to contact me, I'm on Real World Recovery. You get my website, send me an email. I'm willing to talk to anyone, discuss anything, to help you on your road to change, because it's possible. And know that you're a very precious human being, and you can move forward.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Right, so it's been a pleasure to having Kevin C. Dooley with us today. And as he said, learn to love yourself. Stop being judgmental of others. Everybody's got a story. Be more compassionate, and let's all be empathetic to each other. Until next time, The Life Show with Musart.